Hello everybody, Mark here. Now as of recently, I've been posting quite a bit of For Honor content, so I thought that I would post my own For Honor tier list. Now there's quite a lot of them in YouTube, but it's always cool to share I think it would be cool to share my opinion and see what you guys think down in the comments. So let's get straight into it, and we're gonna start with Aramusha, A tier. Aramusha, very solid character, has very good openers, has a lot of mix-up potential, hits like a train, um, yeah, yeah, that's pretty much about it. All you can say. Aramusha generally does very solid against most characters in the game. I think the main characters he can struggle against is unblockable spammers like Conqueror, because obviously he has a full guard, which deals very well against hyper armor and whatnot. But those unblockables, they will put you on edge. Apart from that, Aramusha, under very good hands, he is one of the best characters in my opinion. As for Blackbriar, I think Blackbriar goes in A tier. Blackbriar, he used to be way better before the stamina changes. You know, he used to pretty much abuse the hell out of people out of stamina. Now he's definitely been knocked down. I might even consider putting him in B tier. It depends on where I put the rest. But anyway, Blackbriar, he has some decent openers. He obviously has his bash. He's very spammable light attacks. His undodgeables also very good against those assassins that like to dodge attack out of problems, especially Ice Climber, I forget his name. Apart from that, Blackfire also has an insane amount of mix-up potential. You know, his unblockable, his flipping, everything, his feint into bash. Very solid character in my opinion. Hard to play, but just like Aramusha, under the right hands, very easy A tier. Warden. Warden is a one for me to place. I feel like I sometimes feel like he's A tier. I sometimes feel like he's C tier. I'll give him B. The thing about Warden is he can deal damage pretty quickly. He is for many the jack of all trades. He is pretty much the generic knight of the game. Warden doesn't really have a lot of mix-up potential in my opinion. The only thing that he has going for him is the bashes, but saying that he only has the bashes is it's nothing to underestimate. He can charge them, and you can make you can cause your enemies to make a lot of mistakes with them. He also has a pretty nice light attack, deals quite a bit of damage. Generally, I would say he's in the lower end of B tier. Pretty solid character. Centurion, I'm gonna put him in. I'll put him in C tier for now. I like Centurion. I think I think he's a pretty satisfying character to play. A lot of very strong punish game, very aggressive character. His whole kit revolves around trying to harass your opponent. But in the end, any good opponent will easily dismantle this character. His mix-up potential is good, since he has his punch, which he can mix. He has his kick, which he can also, he can bait people into GBs. He drains stamina very quickly. Something makes me want to put him even higher than Warden in a way. I just don't see the problem is I don't see the results. Whenever I run into Centurions, most of the time I'm winning. Whenever I see them on duels, most of the time they're losing. So I don't know. On paper, he seems like a very strong character, but he just doesn't seem to be cutting it. Conquer, straight S tier. No debate. Conquer, one of the, if not the strongest mix-up game in the entire game. Unblockables for days, bashes for days, stamina draining. This character has it all. Oh, and also very good punishes too. I honestly, I used to love Conqueror back before his change. I used to think he was a pretty unique character, even though he was a bit boring. He went from being a defensive character to the ultimate, the ultimate aggro character. Definitely not a fun character to fight. Gladiator, Gladiator, I want to put him with Centurion. I think he's worse than Centurion in my opinion. Glad has been dropping in the tier list in my opinion. He doesn't really have much mix-up potential. He has the toe stab, which is a pretty solid move. It's a pretty good option select most of the cases. Apart from that, though, he does have a pretty nice, how do you call it? His deflect is pretty nice, you know, you can get quite a strong punish out of it, but in the end, characters with hyper armor, which nowadays it's quite a majority of the characters, they're just gonna neglect him. I think Gladiator is really struggling in the current meta. He's still a very fun character. I think he's probably one of the most satisfying to watch, at least YouTube-wise, content-wise. But yeah, I'm gonna be putting Gladiator here for now. Shugoki, I'm gonna put him in A tier. See, Shugoki is an interesting one, because normally you would assume that simple characters would be the worst ones, right? You know, they don't have very... Shugoki doesn't really have a very large moveset. His whole game revolves around timing heavies and playing with his headbutt, whatnot. He has some pretty good punishes. You know, the GB into throwable heavy is always a very satisfying thing to use in duels. If you play ranked, obviously you don't get much out of it, but you can you play normal duels, you can occasionally ledge people pretty easily. He also is a pretty tanky character. You can afford to trade with him. Funnily enough, even though Hiro Kiri, I don't know where it is right now, Hiro Kiri is meant to be the trading character of this game, you know, trade HP for damage, but I still think Shugoki will always do that better than her, mainly because his heavies have hyper armor off the bat. Generally speaking, I think Shugoki is a solid A tier. I don't think he's better than these two characters simply because of the fact that they can become very predictable. Griffin. Griffin is... I think he's high B tier. High B tier, low A tier. And let me explain why. See, Griffin in the lower skill meta, he's definitely S tier because he's one of those characters that is extremely hard to react to. His lights are fast, his heavies are fast, his bashes are fast, and he has an undodgeable attack which punishes, you know, can easily punish you if you don't know what you're doing against him. Griffin is definitely one of those characters that forces you to be on your toes. You need to be on edge with him. But I think that any decent player, as long as they know his moveset and are ready to punish it, Griffin quickly starts dropping down because there isn't much this character can actually do. To my knowledge, the most annoying part of him are the bashes, but apart from that, you know, I think he's just an average character. Highlander is I think I might be forced to put him in C or D. I'll put him in C. Definitely worse than these two characters. Highlander, it's a complex one for me to rank because Highlander is a very unique character. You know, he plays very differently from pretty much any other character in the game. His full stance is just, you know, it's just different to all the characters. He has a very strong punish game. He hits hard. He has some pretty fast lights that can be pretty hard to predict and to parry. But he suffers a lot from his stamina. Highlander has horrendous stamina. You know, he does 2 mix-ups and he's pretty much completely drained. He has to retreat and, you know, recover stamina. Highlander is also very gimpable. Characters like Hiro Kiri, Rochi, or just any character with fast light attacks can easily pull him out of his stance. His kick, and obviously if he manages to start using his kicks and his hug, he can become a very, very strong character. But as I said, it's very easy to pull him out of the stance, very easy to gimp him, and I think that's the main reason he drops into C. Hiro Kiri, I think, is high B tier. I personally play Hiro Kiri quite a bit. I've been playing her more and more recently, but for some reason, I just think like this character is lackluster. Hiro Kiri on paper seems like a very strong character because she has very strong punishes. She has a very, very, very strong mix-up game. You know, she has, I think, 4 timed variables for the heavy attack, and her kick, you know, her kick can be delayed and feinted very, very far, which, you know, it causes enemies to cause a lot of mistakes. She has very fast light attacks, which help you light select a lot of things. She obviously has the hyper armor light, although honestly, Hitos don't really use that very often. The problem with Hito is she's pretty easy to fight. Hiro Kiri's delayed heavies, anyone with good reaction time can just easily parry them. But apart from that, you can just play the turtling game with Hiro Kiri, just block all her heavies and lights, and if she tries to use a kick, just light her out of it. I think that's her main issue right now. she's still a solid character. You know, she has a very nasty charge heavy, so you know, make sure not to get hit by that. But apart from that, she's a mech character. Hyang Kyung, S tier. I hate this character. Hyang Kyung is such a tedious character to deal with. There's so many mechanics you need to be aware about. His full stance, you know, his dance, all of these things, his dodges, they're so hard to deal with. At early stages, you can just GB them. Most early Hyang Kyung players don't realize they can just be guard broken out of things. But still, at later stages, he's a very tedious character. Very strong, very hard hitting. Unblockables for days. You know, I would say the OG unblockable master before Conquer got reworked. Very strong punishes too. Especially his grab is very nasty. Obviously, out of stamina, he doesn't suffer from the out of stamina game since he recovers it immediately now. Yeah, and there is really not much to say. Also, mix up for days. This character just has everything. He also has HP. I hate, as I said, I can't explain how much I dislike this character. Yorm is going to D tier. Yorm has no mix-ups. He has 4 moves or something. I don't know. He's an annoying character to say the least. He's definitely annoying, but he's a horrible. If you have the reaction times to light parry him, he pretty much can't open. You know, sure he has hyper armor and he's undodgeable attacks, but as I said, as long as you have steel nerves, this character is completely useless. Can't do anything. And especially now that his out of stamina game has been completely ruined. Since I don't think he can do his max punish anymore. So yeah, Jormungandr D tier. Kensei is low C tier. I want to put him lower than Jormungandr. Yeah, I will. Kensei, he's a hard-hitting character. He's pretty tanky. You know, he has his hyper armor. He has pretty fast light attacks. But this character lacks in the mix-up game. Kenseis are generally very predictable. They like spamming their dodge heavies. They like spamming their light attacks. But apart from that, all Kensei can really do is mix between his heavy and his unblockable. Which then changes into a very slow heavy, which you can very easily parry or just punish him for. I do think character-wise, he's very well made. He's balanced. I think he is the way all characters should be. You know, he has his own unique traits, but unfortunately, in For Honor, unique traits doesn't mean better. Kyoshin is high A tier. I think he's better than Aramusha. In my opinion, Kyoshin is just a stronger version of Aramusha. They have a pretty similar playstyle. Obviously, Kyoshin's full stance is way better than Aramusha's and leads to more mix-up potential. I think the main problem with Kyoshin, though, and I think one of the reasons he's been dropping is there's so many bash characters that his full stance is becoming less and less dangerous. You know, back in the day, Kyoshin used to pretty much cancel most characters out because, you know, there wasn't that many hyper armor moves or bashes. Nowadays, though, you can easily just pull him out of it and punish him all the time. Still, even with that, Kyoshin is always going to be a strong character in my opinion, unless they were to nerf him or something. Lawbringer, my main. Where did I put him? I'm gonna put Lawbringer. I'm gonna put him with Griffin. I think Lawbringer and Griffin, pretty similar characters, and in my opinion, pretty similar placings. See, the problem with Lawbringer, as we all know, currently, no openers, right? This character is forced to stand there, turtle, and wait for either parry punishes or whatever. The character doesn't have very good mix-up. You have the triple chain. You can mix between heavies, lights, and bashes, but that's about it. Most of his moves are easily reactable since he has very slow moves. Obviously, his unblockable at Mortimer Miku's, it is his best tool. But even then, quite a few characters can light select him out of it, I'm pretty sure. There's a lot of bash characters that can just avoid it. Apart from that, Lawbringer's long arm has also been nerfed. His gameplay in general has been nerfed, because Lawbringer is also a stamina drainer. But now with the whole stamina changes, he's just become worse. Um, Obviously, his parry and punish game is still the best in my opinion. Those top heavies, those 30 damage top heavies that drain stamina and stun you are nasty as fuck. But apart from that, my boy has been dropping. I think he's even worse than he used to be before. So I hope for him to get reworked at some point and get some sort of light chain. Nabushi, D tier, straightforward. Nabushi suffers from the same problem as Yorm. Very predictable and very predictable moves and very little mix-ups. Sure, she can be annoying depending on the character you play, but as long as you can light parry, this character is out of the game. She really has nothing going for her. Nuxia. Nuxia, I'm gonna put her above Nabushi, and it's for a reason now. Sure, Nux is a meme of character, she has her trap attacks, and the thing is, in lower tier gameplay, she's definitely trash. Nuxia is horrible. But I think in higher tier gameplay, she's somewhat better, because, people are ready to block and parry attacks most of the time. So, you will fall into those traps more often than not. She has pretty fast light attacks. I struggle parrying her pretty often. But apart from that, she's pretty trash. Low HP, her deflect can be parried apparently, which is just obnoxious. She doesn't really have any combo game, she doesn't have any mix-ups. She just suffers from the same problem as all the D tier characters, which is predictability and lack of combo tools. I'm gonna put Rochi in high B tier. Rochi is probably one of the most tedious characters to deal with, in my opinion. He has quite a bit of mix-up potential, but even then, Rochi doesn't deal that much damage. Rochis really need to be on edge of the entire game. You have characters like Pirate, Shugoki, where they can just afford to throw random heavies and completely obliterate your HP for it, or even trade. Rochi, none of that. He has low damage, low DPS, whatever you want to call it. He has pretty good light selects. He has one of the, if not the fastest lights in the game, so he can easily light select most characters. But even then, Rochi is struggling mainly because of hyper armor. There's more and more characters with hyper armor in this game, and they just completely destroy this character. His iframes are pretty useful, but even then, I still think Rochi is just one of those mediocre characters that sits in the mid tiers. Not much else to say. Peacekeeper, I think she is a better Orochi. Now, both of these assassins' gameplay, in my opinion, is pretty similar. Fast attacks, light select your opponents, or harass them with very fast movement and a lot of combo game. Peacekeeper's combo game definitely way better than Orochi's. I think she can change the direction of her attack. She has her unblockables. She has that hella nasty guard break jab, hard break step. Oh my god. Guard break stab, which I think deals 30 bleed damage. This is a character you want to look out for, especially in duels. She can really mess you up. Apart from that, obviously, lowest HP in the game. As I said, she suffers from the same problem as Orochi, where characters like Shugoki will completely annihilate her. But yeah, as long as you don't get guard broken and you have decent reaction times, she can have trouble trying to get in. Pirate, S tier. Pirate is honestly also one of those characters that I just despise. It's a character that has hyper armor, even though I don't understand why she would. Why would you give a character a hyper armor unblockable opener? I'm never gonna understand that. And the worst part is that she can feint that into either a guard break or a dodge heavy or whatnot. She's obnoxious. Pirate has iframes. Even though her combo game is basic, it's filled with unblockables and bash attacks or gunshots, whatever you want to call them. She has very fast light select. She's decently tanky. She can tank damage. And she's just super obnoxious to deal with. If you get unlucky and you get a few wrong reads, she just deletes you from the match. Also, I think she has the best comeback potential out of all the characters in the game right now. Mainly because of how she's played, but yeah. Just in your others S tier. Raider is definitely an S tier too. Is it better than Pirate? Is he worse? I'm not sure. I think he's worse than Pirate. Raider used to be the best character in the game, in my opinion, but he's been dropping down recently. Don't get me wrong, he's still insane. He has stamina for days. He hits like a truck. Mix up for days too. This character has it all. He has HP too. He doesn't like anything. Hyper armor also. Hyper armor nowadays seems to just be something a character really needs to be able to trade efficiently. Pretty good punish game too. His top heavy is very nasty, and his grab, when he grabs you and he throws you into a wall it's also pretty mean. I don't know. I don't really have much else to say about him. Everyone knows how strong he is. Shaman? I think Shaman is high B tier. I think she's better than Rochi, that's for sure. So Shaman plays very similar to Peacekeeper and Rochi too. They're bleeding assassins. I know Rochi doesn't cause bleed, but their gameplay is all very similar. The difference is Shaman can't light select as well as these two characters can. She is kind of a hybrid she's kind of a hybrid since she has some pretty heavy hitting heavies. She has her bleed. She has the bleed that leads into the strong punish, the bite. Probably one of the coolest punishes in the game, in my opinion. Well, at least for me, but she has pretty nice baits too. Her stance into bash or attack very quick. She pulls those attacks very quickly. It can be hard to predict it. Her zone is not very good. It's very easy to parry if you ask me. So that's out of the question. But apart from that, same as these two characters, hyper armor, bye bye. There ain't much for it. And also her dodge attack is pretty slow, so it's pretty easy to punish. So, this guy here, I forget his name. I call him the Monkey Man. I think he is A tier. I think he sits. I don't know if he's better than Blackbriar. I'm gonna put him with Blackbriar. I think he sits around here. This character, the buff has definitely made him justice. He's now a force to be reckoned with. Mainly because of the fact that he has quite a few combos. He has very fast light attacks. Quite a few undodgeables, which he definitely needed in my opinion. His bashes are also pretty scary. They can quickly start building up damage, especially if you do the wrong reads. The thing is apart from that, I think this character is just very generic. I don't really see him very often in high tier gameplay since he gets punished very badly. I know characters like Lawbringer just completely dismantle him. As I said, I don't really have much to say about him. I don't see the character as often as I'd like to, because he is a character I enjoy fighting. Even though he can become pretty annoying, he has a very strong aggressive game. Once he starts landing hits on you, it's very hard to get him off you. But yeah, that's all I really have to say. So, Shinobi. Now, this is going to be a controversial opinion, because a lot of people think he's a strong character. I think Shinobi is no better than a B tier. Matter of fact, I think he's worse than Shaman. And let me explain why. Shinobi is very, very predictable, and he's very easy to react to. Shinobi's initial flip is very easy to see coming. You can easily react to it, in my opinion. And obviously, once he flips, if you dodge, it's a free guard break pretty much no matter what he does, which is horrible, especially with characters with strong punishes like Yorm, Lawbringer, or whatnot. His mix-up game is, even though he does have a few mix-ups, I still think they're very, very predictable. He can mix up into his flip, into his undodgeable, which obviously for starter players, it's going to be very tedious to deal with. But as you fight this character, you realize that it's just very, very easy to react to. I know I'm repeating myself, but it's really honest. They also love to zone a lot. I'm personally after every single combo, I'm ready to parry my left, because they just seem to love that zone. Their light attack is definitely hard to deal with. Very fast light attack. But yeah, no, I don't think Shinobi is that big of a character. He's definitely unique. He's different to most characters, so you do need to make that adaptation. But apart from that, he's fine. Tiandi. It's been a while since I meet one of these. I think Tiandi is. I think he's A tier. I think he's better than Black Pearl. Now, I've hardly ever fought Tiandis in my life, but let me tell you, this character can be a nightmare to deal with. First, obviously, he just like Hyang Kyung, he has his stupid dance, which can make it a nightmare to try and punish him. People who don't know how to deal with that will get punished pretty much every single time. Very fast lights, a very annoying combo game. You know, it's pretty predictable, but still hard to deal with. He also has his kick, which, you know, if you're close to a wall, you're gonna regret being hit by that. I know this one is also going to be quite controversial. I'm pretty sure I'm going to see a few comments, you know, questioning my decision. But I've seen the potential of this character, and just like Aramusha, I think he can be a nightmare. Now, Valkyrie. I'm going to put Valkyrie in C tier. Valkyrie's an annoying character. That's as much as I can say. She doesn't really have much combo gameplay. Sure, she can feign heavies into bashes. She has her light mix-ups, and then she has her flip, whatever. She knocks you to the floor, and she can deal. You know, she can mess you up quite quickly. But apart from that, I think this character lacks. Her punish game is pretty poor. She doesn't deal much damage. You know, she needs to rack up damage very quickly. I think Valkyrie has a dodge light, which, you know, I think they suck. Dodge lights are just, you know, they're just a worse version of a dodge heavy, because if they get parried, you get fucked up. I think she has, how do you call them? I think she has her full stance, if I'm not wrong. I can't remember now. It's you'd be surprised. I haven't fought this character in ages. I think she has a full stance or something. I know she has something along those lines, or a crushing counter. You know, always useful to have one of those in your arsenal, but still, a character with no results, character with no main representative, so yeah, it stays there. Warlord, where do I put this guy? I think Warlord sits in a similar spot to Hiro Kiri. Warlord, he doesn't really have much, you know. He has his light heavy combo game, and he can bash. That's about it. He does have a full stance, which can be useful against spammers. His grab is pretty nice. The fact that he can, you know, grab you and push you into walls is always pretty nifty. I think he's just another annoying character to deal with. He can become pretty tedious if they start spamming that bash attack, because then, you know, they can start using their mind games to GB or light you. You know, just a solid character in my opinion. Not much else to say. Warden, not Warden. How did you call her? Apollyon. I'm gonna call her Apollyon for this video. She's definitely better than Warden. Where have I put him in the list? I'm gonna be putting her in. And I think I'm gonna put her in a high B tier. I don't know why. This character has such a slow light, so easy to parry. You know, most good Apollyon players will not use their light attacks. Oh, Warmonger, that's a name. Anyway, they avoid using their light attacks because they know they're gonna get parried. Their mix-up game is horrible. You know, their main tool is their scratch, which most people will just light select out of light select to get rid of. Her dodge attack pretty trash too. I don't know if it has hyper armor. I don't think it does. But I normally just light select her out of it anyways. Openers are pretty bad too. They're pretty predictable, easy to react to. And yeah, the only good thing she really has is her heavy parry. Obviously, she gets to throw you into a wall and punish you for quite a bit of damage. But apart from that, she's pretty much just a better Warden. Very much to say. So, Berserker, one of my favorite characters. I think Berserker is at the top of B tier. I don't know if he sits at the top of it. I think he's pretty similar character to Shaman in many ways, but he's just a tankier version of her. You know, Berserker, quote-unquote, the Hyper Armor King. That used to be his title. Nowadays, his Hyper Armor is just a crutch, really. He's very easy to predict. A lot of people like guard breaking them out of their combos. since their combos really do just rely on heavies and lights. He has a pretty nasty hyper armor top heavy that can mess you up very bad. But then with all the bashes in the games and all of these hyper armor characters that can afford to trade with him, I just don't think Berserker's I don't think Berserker's kit is very good. The combination of low HP with hyper armor just doesn't work nowadays. He does have iframes. Obviously light dodge attack, horrible, very easy to punish, very nasty to get punished. I don't know. I think Berserker has been dropping down in the tier list. He definitely used to be A tier back then, but now I would even risk saying he's lower in the list. I'm just putting him here because I really can't be bothered to check this list right now. And last but not least, Zanu. Zanu's an interesting one. See, Zanu, I used to think he was trash tier because his mix-up game is horrible. He really only has his unblockable heavy light mix-up. He has a bash. His zone is okay, I guess. I think I put Zanu in the bottom of B tier, mainly because Zanu at high tier has some very good mind games. He doesn't have hyper. Actually, no, I'm gonna put him low C tier. As I was saying, he can be pretty tedious to deal with. But the problem is his heavies are so slow that most characters can light select him out of them. Pretty generic character too. I don't think he has much potential, and unless he gets a rework, I think he's just gonna keep dropping down. So yeah, I think this is the end of the tier list. Some of these characters should definitely be above one another. So take this tier list with a pinch of salt. If you have any opinions about it that you disagree with, make sure to leave them down in the comment. Anyways, thanks for watching.